David Duke, top of the arc. Here's Pip, guarded by Gillespie. Steps back, spins, fires! Woo! Pip Gates!
They get another crack. They'll go to their senior. And he lays it in. Two big buckets by Alpha Diallo.
He crushed it. It's a grand slam.
Down by 3. 5 seconds. Reeves for the tie. He got it.
Joined by a very special guest, Jake Palomaki, who was drafted into 18th round by the Tampa Bay Rays, former Boston College 4-year starter. He had a very impressive career at Boston College, including a trip to the Super Regionals, and he also played in the NECBL and the Cape Cod League. Jake, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Good, thanks for asking.
Yeah, so just right off the bat, Benny mentioned your trip to the Super Regionals on what probably was the best baseball team that BC ever fielded. Can you kind of describe that process and kind of the Cinderella story of making it through the regionals and making it to a winner-take-all game in Coral Gables?
Yeah, that was a special year, special team. We had a lot of good draft picks off that team. I think I looked at it the other day. I think we had 11 or 12 guys who are playing currently on that one team. So that was a stacked team we had. It was crazy. I mean, we went in, I think halfway through the season, we started out really hot. We were like 12-2, about to be ranked in top 25. And then we kind of went on a skid of about a 2-week window where we couldn't really put anything together. And then we got to the end. I think there were 6 weekends left and we were kind of out of it. People were writing us off and thinking we were just going to kind of fade away like the past teams had done. And I think we had to win every series in the last 6 weekends in a row. And we ended up doing it, taking it all the way down to the final series against Georgia Tech. We lose a Friday night game by 4-3. And then the Saturday game gets postponed. So we had a doubleheader Sunday and had to win both those games to go to the ACC tournament to even have a shot to get into a regional. We end up winning both those games and going to the ACC tournament where we lost the play-in game against Georgia Tech as well. So that whole experience was crazy. We barely snuck in. I think there was 10 or 11 teams to go to the regionals from the ACC in that 1 year. So that was nuts. And then sneak in and kind of made some noise in the regional at Ole Miss and snuck into a Miami Super and kind of gave them all they could handle.
Definitely. I watched some of the highlights from that series and just from that season in general, and it definitely seemed like you guys definitely had it clicking at the right time. Mm-hmm. Going back, though, you mentioned that you guys started off hot. What was kind of the expectations going into that season? Were you guys expecting to make a run like this and be competitive on the national stage, or did this kind of come out of nowhere and the guys just gelled and everything just kind of clicked?
Yeah, we always expect to win, even on the teams that were kind of unsuccessful at BC. We always came in thinking we were going to be a top 25 team the whole year. And fortunate we were able to get off to a hot start and get rolling right off the bat and gave everybody some confidence that knowing we could compete in the ACC and compete with all those big dogs up top. So ever since we started out hot that year, we were like, all right, we got a chance here. So that was the expectation all the way through. And we knew once we get into May, when weather starts warming up and we can start playing at home, we were going to roll. It was just whether or not staying above water until that could happen.
Yeah, let me just say, I mean, us being New England guys, I mean, you hear all the time what a great program BC has for baseball. And, I mean, you guys made history that year and, I mean, just loosely following it that season. And then all of a sudden it was just like you guys were everywhere. And it was like this team is like this like almost like dream team type of thing. Like you don't know how far they can go or what can happen. And it was just an amazing experience to watch and something I'm sure you are so proud to be a part of.
Yeah, that was one of the best moments I have in all of baseball. I think it was awesome going down to Ole Miss and playing in front of so many people, and all of a sudden you're in the championship game with a couple innings to go and we're about to go to a Super Regional 2 wins away from Omaha. I mean, nobody thought we were going to do it at all 6 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. So it was awesome to shock everybody and show them we could do it.
That is awesome. There's nothing like that coming out of nowhere to shock the world.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, because for a team to make a run like that, there has to be some team chemistry. The guys have to get along. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like in the locker room with that team? You know, what the team dynamics were, whether it was a loose group of guys or it was very, business first. Just kind of what was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, we had captains Joe Cronin and Nick Sorrentino were the guys leading the charge that year. And I think it was them who started it out right away with the relationship they had with Coach Gambino and how open they were to going to talk to him about anything the team wanted and anything that he wanted. So we had kind of an open communication, and we're like, hey, man, our legs are dragging today, need a lighter day, or let's get after it this week. Everybody feels good. To off the field, hanging out a bunch. We were so tight, all 1 through 35 there. Everybody got along, was so closely knit. I've never been part of a team that was that tight in the 4 years I was there. That was the highlight of it. And then our arms just carried us that whole time. You knew what you were going to get from Justin Dunn, Michael King, and Jake Stevens every time they went out there. So for us, and on the offense, knowing we only had to put up 2, 3, 4 runs a game, and we had a chance to win every game, that was it was a whole new bond we had, because the pitchers were fighting for our hitters and our hitters were fighting for our pitchers. Kind of a great gel we had together, knowing everybody's got each other's back, and we were going out there fighting and win every baseball game we could.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, no matter what sport, it helps to have guys that mesh like that. So it definitely
awesome.
makes a huge difference. So
yeah, that carried us down the stretch when we were kind of, I don't know if we're going to go downhill or go uphill here. Those guys were like, all right, let's go. We're about to strap it in for 6 weeks and make it go on a run. And that was no one was going to accept anything less than that the whole time in the locker room, on the field, whoever showed up to the field, that's what was going to happen.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Game 3 against Miami. First of all, I watched that. Should have never even happened. The 2-2 pitch should have been strike 3.
Yeah.
That was the breaking pitch. It caught the top of the zone. But then obviously everything that happens after that, Michelangelo had a bad game the day before. Big bat flip. He had done it in the ACC tournament against, I think, either Virginia or NC State. And
NC State, I believe.
Yeah, NC State. And we were going to do kind of a breakdown with the video and kind of ask you where you were in the fight. But then we watched the video again. You were one of the first guys in there.
Very, very clear where you were.
I was right in the mix. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you just talk a little bit about that, what you saw from – I believe you were at shortstop at that point, and kind of what you saw and how that developed?
Yeah, so I think the year before we had some bad blood. I don't know. There was a lot of chirping going on back and forth. Heat of the moment, obviously, everything's on the line. Everybody wants to go to Omaha. That's the only thing you're thinking about. So I think it was a grand slam. So it was 5-4 at the time. 3-2 pitch, throws a changeup, it hangs, and he hits it out. I'm not going to go into detail about speculation whether they were stealing signs or whatever, but I don't know how you're sitting 3-2 changeup there as a guy who's hitting, I don't know, in the 9 hole. So that was kind of sketchy, but I mean, guy put a good swing on it and wanted to show everybody what he's got and try to make a little bit of a bang, as Miami kind of typically always did. So he bat flipped. I'm looking. I watch the ball go out. I look over at third base. Joe Cronin's kind of in a crouch. I'm like, dang, like this is probably it. Like I think that was the 8th inning. Look over. Mitch Bigris is a big, tall Canadian guy at first base. He's chirping the guys. He's coming around first base. Johnny Adams obviously didn't say anything. He was at shortstop, so I was at second base. So I was a little bit closer to the action over at the first base line. And then I watch as everything unfolds, and Nick Sorrentino kind of is letting him have it as he's coming through home plate. And I was like, something's about to happen here. And people are chirping. Next thing you know, Bigris is over in the mix at first base, chirping all their coaching staff and all the guys in the dugout. And I was like, I got to get in there. So I'd full on dead sprint from second base and try to get in the middle as fast as I possibly could. And I kind of blacked out of that moment. Don't really know what I said. Don't really know what happened. And all of a sudden I'm being pulled back by Cronin trying to bring me back off the pile. So I don't know. There was a lot going on there, a lot of emotions, a lot of disappointment at the time. Can't believe that happened because I thought for sure we were coming back and win that game. But no, it was crazy. Something I'll never forget as well. So it was, I don't know how I reacted really, but I don't think it was too terrible.
No, it was definitely, it was fun to watch. I mean, like baseball and brawls, it's something that, doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, like everyone's glued to it. And then seeing you just bolt into it, it was like, wow, you can tell, one, this guy like is fighting for something, and two, like, it goes back to what you were saying, like this team's so tight knit, like obviously the whole team goes down, but you weren't really affected by anything directly, and you're just right in there fighting. So
yeah,
I mean, not fighting, but like ready if you had to.
Yeah. And that's how the whole team was built that year. Everybody was going to have each other's back. Everybody was going to be in on a fight anytime needed, say whatever they needed to say, and keep grinding as long as they could. So, I mean, that shows the culture of that team right off the bat. So yeah, it was crazy.
So I messed up there. You were at second base, not shortstop,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe you moved to shortstop later on in your career, which is kind of the opposite of what everybody else does in baseball. You usually move from the left up to the right side. So can you talk a little bit about that transition and going from playing second base to being the general infield?
Yeah. So freshman year, I played third base just because kind of injuries occurred and there was nowhere for me to really play because Johnny Adams was at short and Blake Butera was at second base, and there was kind of no room in the infield. So our center fielder went down. I went to third base. Our third baseman went to first baseman went to center. And so I ended up playing third base my freshman year, second base my next 2 years because Johnny Adams wasn't going anywhere. He was going to play shortstop because he was a staple there. So I think I could have played short my sophomore and junior year, but there was no need because Johnny was there. So I just kind of perfected a craft at second base and was going to be locked down at second base until my name was called to move over to the left side of the infield again. But it was awesome. I love second base, but shortstop was great, being able to get a chance to play there in college and show everybody I can still play there, even though I've been profiled as second base in a lot of my career. So that was hugely helpful to my draft stock as well, showing the scouts that I could still play on the left side of the infield and police the whole infield and be the guy that was a staple over there. So that was awesome for me. It really wasn't a huge adjustment because Coach Gambino does a great job in the fall, having everybody play second, having everybody play short, having everybody play third, so that when your name is called upon to move wherever based on injuries or need, you can just pop over there and you're ready to go.
Yeah. Jake, you mentioned how much that affected your draft stock. One thing I noticed, like it's pretty much the first thing you see when you look at your profile on Boston College, is one, your on base percentage. You hold records there in Boston College for on base and for in season walks. And then, I mean, speaking to I know we talked about before we started, but our buddy Tim, who you were was hosted by, and the NECBL, he says, you're just the classic grinder and like the guy that goes out there, he has discipline eye and just gets on base any way possible. How much did stuff like that impact your draft stock, you feel like?
Yeah, that was huge. Being able to, even if I'm going through a little bit of a skid, to be able to work my way on base regardless of how I'm swinging it at the time. I think that was huge for me because if I go into too big of a hole, there's no getting out of it sometimes, as you guys can see. But that was such a staple for me, being able to find my way on base, whether it's a walk or whatnot, for me to keep my confidence and know that I can get on base and score runs without having to get a hit. So, I mean, I know a lot of the time freshman year, I was kind of shocked when I was walking so much. I was like, why am I walking so much? I don't know. And I guess it was because the strike zone shrunk a little bit from high school to college, and I didn't really know about it until I got there. So that was just kind of a staple for me. And in fact, it affected my draft stock huge because they knew I was going to get on base at all levels. It don't matter what I had to do. I was going to figure it out, whether it's swinging it or taking the full pitch walk, whatever it need be.
Yeah, I mean, like I see here, your freshman year, your on base percentage was over 400. I mean, that rarely happens at all, and that was consistent throughout your entire time at BC, and then high 300s in the minors and Cape Cod and any CPL. So I mean, that's something that you've taken with you, and I mean, just thinking like, you see Moneyball, Billy Bean. That's something Billy Bean would love.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm 5'9", $175. I'm not going to drive balls out of the park. I got to figure out other ways to get on base and score runs and let the big boppers behind me drive me in. So I think it was crucial for me to know my role right off the bat. Because freshman year, I just kind of went out and played my butt off and did whatever I could to, help the team win. And next thing I look up and I'm hitting 290 with over 400 on base percentage, setting a single season walk record. Like, I didn't really think about it at the time. I was just putting my head down and going to work and trying to win ball games.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the transition from high school ball to college ball, but that was also a big transition geographically for you, growing up in Kennesaw, moving up to the Northeast. A couple questions, but first, how was your recruitment process, and how did you kind of end up making such a big jump up to Boston College?
Yeah, so my high school coach had a connection with a mutual friend of Coach Gambino, and Gambino told him if he ever saw a potential prospect down south to let him know, and that mutual connection let him know, and let me know too. So I reached out to him, and we started our kind of conversation through that. And he came down and watched me play. I think it was my 16U summer ball, and 2, 3, 4 weeks, I think he came and saw me play. And I think in those 3 weeks or whatever, I hit like 750 and absolutely played the best baseball of my life. Like, it all worked out perfectly, and he knew what he was getting every time I rolled out to the field. So it was a big blessing to be able to play well in front of him. But I mean, it was more than just playing well, because I was flying in and out of the dugout. I was playing in 100-degree heat. It didn't really matter what was going on. He saw me play third, short, second, and I was able to establish a good kind of viewpoint for him, and he could trust what I could do. And from then on, it was kind of, as all the recruiting processes go, I went up for an official visit, got an offer, and a couple weeks later I committed.
Awesome. So what, kind of along the same lines, what was kind of the biggest adjustment for you moving, whether it was just going to college in general or, adjusting to life in the Northeast, to the snow, anything like that? What were some things that kind of stuck out? Any funny stories or anything like that?
So I actually was born in Michigan, and I moved to Georgia when I was 11. So I had experiences with the snow before, so I wasn't a complete stranger, complete Southern boy going up there, getting blindsided by it all. I kind of knew what I was going to get into, so that didn't really scare me too much. But I think my freshman year, going into classes at Boston College, as you know, are no joke, and having to prioritize my time between that and baseball was the toughest part. But I think my freshman spring semester, every Sunday night we got 24 inches of snow, or 20 plus inches of snow, for 5 weeks in a row. So we had over 100 inches of snow right off the bat, and I didn't go to my Monday class for 5 weeks in a row. And so it was crazy. That kind of, whether you're used to the snow or not, that kind of hit me out of nowhere. I was like, dang, is this what it's going to be like this whole spring? And I don't know if we played a home game until May that year, so it was just a grind, kind of a wake up call. Dang, I kind of miss the South right now, but it was all good, and it was all worth it. Yeah, it was fine. No really funny stories other than the 100 plus inches of snow right off the bat.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
were you upper or Newton?
Upper.
Nice.
Yeah, they make sure all the athletes get on upper so they can get to morning lifts, because if you're on Newton, you can't get a bus that early to get to lift, and you don't make it. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So growing up, did you play any other sports? And if so, when did you know that baseball was the one?
So I played hockey until I was about 13 or 14. And I never really played it competitively. I was always skating around, kind of fiddling with it, seeing if it was something I wanted to do. But then I moved south and I was like, there's no shot for hockey anymore. So I was like, all right, I'm going to play baseball and basketball. And then sophomore year of high school, I was like, basketball ain't my thing. I'm short, white guy, can't really shoot it. So I'm like, I'm just going to go baseball. And from then on, it was just baseball from there on out, and nothing I really loved. I do wish I kind of played football growing up. But I mean, I can easy to say now when there's no fear of getting hurt or anything, but no, pretty much all baseball all the way through.
And then, yeah, so my other question is, you mentioned that you guys are a pretty tight-knit team at BC. Who was the funniest dude on the team, and do you have any good stories about traveling down with him or anything like that?
Funniest guy in all my 4 years?
Yeah.
Or there's a couple guys. Bobby Skogsberg's probably one of the funniest guys I know to this day. He was, I think he graduated a year before me, righty reliever. I don't know if there's any funny stories about him, but Mitch Bigris is another clown that was always in the middle of everything. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I know Mitch Bigris, he took a Snapchat in the middle of a locker room when he was like butt ass naked, and he ended up posting it somewhere and got suspended on the team for a couple weeks because he's just an idiot like that. So he didn't really have any care in the world. He was always just trying to get a laugh out of the guys next to him. But he's a funny guy. We had a bunch of funny cats on that team. But no, I don't think any good stories, at least none I can share right now.
So, obviously we noticed you played in the NECBL with the Waves, and Matt and I have both worked with the Waves and, gone to a bunch of different NECBL or Cape Cod League games. So, working with the Waves, especially me last year, I was pretty close working with the team. You get a sense of what it's all about, what the guys are all about, and it's a very loose-knit group, and it kind of has been since the Waves were created. They've always been one of the looser teams in the NECBL. So how was that experience? What was the team atmosphere like, and how did that compare to your teams in college?
Yeah, that was very similar to teams in college. I actually played with one of my best friends from travel ball in Kennesaw, Griffin Helms. He was out of Kennesaw State, and we lived together that summer with the Joyce family, which was awesome because they were so laid back, so chill. Tim was awesome, and Kathy and Vinny are great too. And then we had a bunch of good dudes from Southern Mississippi on that team that really gelled well. We were always goofing around. We had Richard Lovelady. He was a left-handed pitcher, now in the bigs with the Royals. He was funny. So they were always ready to compete, ready to grind, but kept it so loose through that whole summer. So that was a lot of fun. There was great guys throughout that whole team. Can't really say good enough things about all the staff and managers and GM. They were all awesome.
What was your favorite off-day activity while being in Rhode Island?
We went to Narragansett a couple times. That was fun. Anytime we went to Newport, that was a blast too. As you know, there's nothing to do in Wakefield really, so we got out to Newport and kind of explored over there. That was a blast going on. Look at all the mansions and stuff out there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful over there.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Matt.
No, all you.
All right, so Jake, on obviously after BC you get drafted. What was draft day like for you? Were you sitting around the phone, or how did you find out?
So my agent was telling me the whole time, he's like, you're gonna go 6 through 10, like it's a lock. Like there's 30 teams have called about you. You're gonna go. You're gonna be a senior sign. Some teams want to take you for way higher than slot because you got hurt your junior year, so you're not really a total senior sign. You kind of got gypped out of some money your junior year, so you're gonna go 6 through 10. It's a lock. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, so day 2 comes around and I'm sitting there by the phone waiting. don't. I think day 2 is 3 through 10, and I mean, I was sitting there 5, 6, 7, waiting, and I was like, this sucks. Like there was family around. And I was trying to keep it together in the living room. I was like, this is horrible. Like I was sitting by the computer, sitting by the phone, kind of watching it on MLB Network any way I could. And then, so I don't hear a thing till the 10th round. And it's like, there's like 3 picks left in the 10th round. My agent calls me. He goes, Dodgers just called about you, last pick of the 10th round. They might take you here. And so I was like, all right, cool. Ended up not taking me. They went with Deacon Lippett out of Florida instead, gave him like $1,000. And I was like, all right, like that was brutal. So next day it just flies by. So it was 11, and I got a ton of calls the night before saying day 3, they're like, can't believe you're still on the board. We're going to take you here. Rockies, Twins, Cubs, a bunch of people call me. And I was like, all right, like cool. I'm sure I'll go top 3 rounds here. Waiting around, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm like, dude, this sucks. So I went up to my room. I was like, I'm going to play some PS4. I think I hopped on the MLB The Show. I was like, I'm getting away. Walk upstairs. I think it was like the 17th round goes by, go downstairs to get a drink. And then I see my name pop up on the Twitter, 18th round. Didn't get a call. I got a text from my agent. He's like, there you go. And I was like, oh, geez, like it happens like that. I thought somebody was going to call me. I thought I was going to get a little heads up like 15 minutes before, nothing. Name popped up, celebrated with some family. I really hadn't talked to the Rays much at all prior to getting picked by them. So their area scout called me, talked to him, and yeah, ended up getting taken 18th round by the Rays.
So getting drafted by the Rays, you said you weren't in much contact with them, but I mean, still, it's the MLB team. It's still awesome that you got drafted. How quick was like your phone blowing up right after that Twitter ticker came up?
Oh man, I had like, I think 350 text messages an hour after, and probably 50 missed phone calls. So I was so thankful, so happy to get drafted. I was like finally able to live out a lifelong dream. So pumped. Didn't matter. Money didn't matter. I just wanted a chance to play. And I was so thankful that they gave that to me, and I'm going to do all I can with that opportunity. I mean, it was a stressful time, and I was disappointed on day 2, but I mean, I was not looking for anything crazy, and I just wanted the chance to go play, and thankful they gave it to me. So it's a blast.
Yeah, I'm sure. So you already have 2 full seasons of minor league ball, right? Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first was short season, and then the last year was the first full season. So yeah, 2 seasons.
So, I mean, based on your numbers, it seems like you had pretty good success, and you even were in 2 different levels of A ball last year. So how was that? How were those first couple seasons? Like, how was that for you? What was the team atmosphere like? I know when we talked to Jimmy a couple of days ago, he said it was kind of like everything was awesome. Everyone was awesome. But then all of a sudden there's like half the team is speaking Spanish, and he has to remember what he learned in high school again. So is there anything like that was either different or just in overall, what was your first experience like?
Yeah. So first year I fly down to Florida, I think like 5 or 6 days after getting drafted, sign, and you go through like a mini camp there for a couple of days, and then they ship you off to wherever they want. And I went to Princeton, West Virginia, Appy League, short season, and it's middle of nowhere. Half the team's Latin. So you have to quickly try to figure out how to communicate with them and establish relationships. And a lot of the guys that I was playing with were awesome. A couple of guys from Tulane, one guy from Pepperdine, one guy from Houston, and we gelled really quickly, and that made the transition really easy. Felt like I was in college again. But I mean, it's a whole different atmosphere, because if you play well, you're going to be gone. You're going to be called up. If you don't play well, you're going to be released. So I mean, there's a fine line in there where you got to sit. And I mean, short season is a little bit different than full season because guys are just starting to get rolling. But the Latin guys have been there in the system for a couple of years, and they're just happy to not be in the GCL anymore and at the spring training facility, and they're ready to get out. So that was interesting, but a blast. I learned a lot. Learned that it's just baseball again, just playing the game you love. Nothing too much different. Just other than the guys you're playing with, and that it's a business and not college anymore. So that first year was huge for me, and it was great, and I learned a lot. And then the next year, going to spring training, I'm like, I have no idea what team I'm going to be on. Who knows where they're going to send me? Am I going to go back to a short season team? I really don't want to get stuck in extended. I'm an older guy. I want to move quick. So I had a pretty good spring training. Didn't do anything crazy, just was kind of being myself. And the next thing I know, I broke with the high A team. And I skipped the level, and I was like, all right, here we go. Like, I'm getting a chance. So 4 games in, I go like 3 for 6, and then the day before I hit a walk-off, and I'm rolling. I'm ready to go. I'm like, this is awesome. I get called in the office and sent down. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? They're like, well, one of our shortstops is healthy, so we don't have room for you. So you're going to go back to extended spring training and figure it out there. And I'm sure you won't be there long. So I end up going home, chilling for the rest of the day. And before I go to sleep that night, they're like, hey, pack your bag. You're going to go meet the low A team in Cleveland, Ohio. So I packed my bags, left my car in Florida, and went and flew out and met the team in Ohio, and played with them for about a month, and then got sent back to Florida to high A after about 35 games. So it's all a whirlwind, how quickly you can go up and down, and it's just sending people wherever it's needed. But I was very thankful I was able to finish out in high A, and I'm now with my age group as far as guys who I'm playing with. I don't feel like I'm behind anything. So that last year was huge for me, and able to kind of skip low A and go right to high A.
Yeah, awesome.
So it seems like there's a lot of back and forth, and it seems like you have to be ready kind of on a moment's notice. Can you talk, one, just kind of where you have to be mentally to know that at any given moment you could be sent pretty much anywhere in the country to any one of these affiliate teams? And 2, can you talk a little bit about the pressure that goes along with that, knowing that, you mentioned during short season your first year that if you don't play well, it's not like college where they can't really take away your scholarship, where, you go into a slump and the next thing you know, you're off the team. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the first question was what? I'm sorry, I forgot the first question.
No, that's my bad. The first question was just where you kind of have to be mentally.
Oh yeah,
knowing that you could be kind of sent across the country at a drop of a hat.
Yeah, you just got to be flexible. You can't really think anything's for a certain reason. It's all, you got to know it's a business, and you got to just go out and play the game you know how to play. I mean, I fortunately had a lot of friends in both areas, so it wasn't too big a shock in either place. But yeah, you just got to be ready to go, and you know it's out of your control most of the time when you're getting sent like that. Especially me being a senior sign, older guy, they know they can send me wherever, and they know what they're going to get out of me. A guy like Franco, who I've played with the last 2 years, he's not going to move like I will because he's young and they want to develop him. And they know that I'm older, I've been developed, and they're going to get what out of me. So they don't. It's different for every guy. For me, I'll move more just because I'm older and I can play a bunch of positions. But if you're a big time prospect, they're going to leave you there for half the season, regardless how you play, and then go to the next team for however many games. So for guys like me, being a utility guy, that's how I'm going to make my money. That's how I'm going to move up. So I got to be ready to roll whenever. And that's how I've kind of been able to do it my whole career. And it wasn't too big of a deal for me. And then the second question was about being released at any time. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you got to, like, I came in not really putting too much pressure on myself, like, hey, I got to play well, otherwise I'm going to get canned. Like, I got to go in and play really well. And I found myself hitting about $180 about 6 weeks into the season because I was putting so much pressure on me. And Coach Gambino calls me and is like, hey, like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. And he goes, quit putting so much pressure on yourself. Go out and play like you know how to play. Don't worry about it. They're not going to release you. They just drafted you. I said, okay. Went out, didn't worry about it at all. Ended up hitting like 330 in August and get my average around 250 at the end of the year, and realized it's not in my control. I'm going to go out and I'm going to play as hard as I can every day. And until the Lord wants to take my cleats off of me, that's what's going to happen. So I was like, I'm going to go out and play hard every day and not think about anything else, because at the end of the day, it's really not up to me. So I can't really think about it too much, or I'll get in my own head. So I don't really worry about it.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. I mean, if it's out of your control, just go out there, play the game you know how to play, and the rest will take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Wander Franco. I mean, that's a guy who, I mean, if you play MLB The Show, he's had one of the Future Stars cars for like a number of years. But not only him, just how, including you, because you're drafted by them. The Tampa Bay Rays have one of the, the best farm systems. They're one of the highest ranking farm systems with all these top prospects. What's it like, one, playing with guys that already have a player card and like MLB The Show or whatever, and haven't even made the big leagues, and two, just being a part of that and being included in this top tier farm system with all these great athletes?
Yeah, it's awesome because they give everybody the same time of day as a big time prospect. So it's obviously Franco's going to get treated a little bit different just because he's young and he's a big time dude, but they'll give you the time of day just like they give him the time of day. And they're such a great system to play in, because everybody knows what they're going to do when they get to the field, and that's going to try to win the next ball game, or that's going to try to develop into the best player you can be. So it's so much fun because everybody shows up to the field ready to work and knowing they're going to win that day. Because if you look at our low A to triple A teams, we all win, and we've only known winning since we've been in the system. So it's a blast. I mean, Franco's a great dude, and can't say enough good things about him. We've obviously butted heads a couple times, but that's just because we were trying to get each other better and trying to become best players we can be. So he's been nothing but great to me, and I've been nothing but great to him. And guys like Shane Boz, Shane McClanahan, and all those other top arms and players also, it's a blast. I mean, everybody has no ego. They're just ready to go out and play and win a baseball game. So that's what's fun about it.
Yeah, it's great. It's definitely awesome that I love how you said that they treat everyone the same way, no matter what level they're kind of looked down upon. That's something I don't think a lot of organizations would say about their guys. So it's really cool to hear that the Tampa Bay Rays go with that perspective, because really, especially in a game like baseball, you never know which one of the guys is going to be that next star. Even if they're, half the time you don't even know who the number one draft, the overall pick is. Like, you haven't heard of half the guys. So I mean, essentially where you drafted doesn't matter, and knowing that the Rays think that way and treat everyone the same is really cool.
Yeah, they do a great job. Their player development and their scouting has a huge leg up on the rest of the league for sure. I mean, would they go out and constantly get guys that make an impact right away, whether it's in low A, high A, double A, triple A. I mean, guys are putting up numbers, and it just speaks to the coaching staff and everybody else too. I mean, everybody does such a good job, even on such a low payroll. Like, it don't matter. They get every ounce of ability out of every player they have.
So you mentioned a bunch of guys that you're playing with in Tampa Bay, some big time prospects, and you've been playing baseball for a long time, all the way back to high school and then college ball, NECBL, Cape League, and now in the minor leagues. If you had to pick one player, who would you say is going to be the teammate of yours or the person you played against who, you're going to tell your kids and grandkids, hey, I was on the same field as this player?
Yeah, it's hard to go away from Franco when you're talking about that, just because he's elite in more ways than one. I mean, his hand-eye coordination is something I've never seen before. I mean, last year he went all of April. I was playing with him all of April, and he didn't swing and miss at a pitch once. And that's tough. I mean, didn't strike out all of April, didn't swing and miss. It was either a foul ball or put in play if he swung at all. So that was an incredible and he wasn't even feeling good in April, he told me. So I was like, this guy is in a new level, in a new category that I've never seen before. And it's something special to watch every day, and so much to learn from him. Even me being older, I can pick up and learn about his tendencies, because he rolls out and he knows he's going to be the best guy every game he plays, and he expects nothing less.
It's awesome. Being a pro guy now, you have your own baseball reference page. And looking at that page, I see that you have a pitching appearance from last year. What was that? What was that like pitching in the minor leagues? It says you got like 2 innings pitched. So what was that experience like?
So yeah, I mentioned how I was sent to Cleveland, Ohio to meet the team when we were playing Lake County. So I fly in and I'm on like 4 hours of sleep, and the team is struggling. They're in a cold streak. A couple of guys are sick. They're like, "You got to play today." And I was like, "All right." So it's a double header because the game got rained out the night before. So we're playing 2 7-inning games, and it's probably 42 degrees, pretty cold. And so I played first game. I played left field. Hadn't played left field much. Played a bunch of center field. Played left field for the first 5 innings, and then I think we're tie ball game where bases are loaded. I come in and I'm the 5th infielder, and in the infield end up turning a double play home to first so it goes down as a 7-2-3 double play, which was hilarious. And then the next game playing second base, and it's like 38 degrees, pretty cold. We're getting crushed. I mean, pitching's not working. We can't hit a lick. Nothing's working. And I think it's like the 5th or 6th inning, and they're like, "Hey, we got no arms left. We need you to throw." I said, "Okay, that's fine." They're like, "Just lob it over there. You're fine. Like, just throw it." I'm like, all right. So I get up there and I'm like kind of feeling good. So I like let a couple loose. Like, I'm not just gonna kind of give in. I'm gonna go compete because I pitched in high school. I threw a couple bullpens in college. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go compete. So I threw all fastballs, just trying to get over the plate. Threw a couple sidearms, change arm slots a little bit. Next thing I know, 15 pitches, 6 up, 6 down, and all the pitchers are looking at me pretty upset that I made it look that easy. So
that's efficiency at its peak.
So yeah, I went to bed that night knowing I woke up in Florida and ended up playing 14 innings that next day. And the games actually the first game went into 10 innings. So I ended up playing 17 innings that day, pitched 2 innings. And then all of a sudden the game's over and I can't feel my body because everything had happened so quickly. So it was a whirlwind for sure, but something I'll always remember.
Yeah, Matt and I played high school ball together, and our coach was actually in the Expos organization, utility guy, kind of like you. And he similar experience. He got a pitching appearance, and he said he just went out there, and all he was trying to do was throw it as hard as he can and blow it by guys to strike people out. So, how hard were you trying to strike someone out when you were pitching?
I don't necessarily think I was trying to strike people out. I was trying to see what I could do. I'm trying to make sure I stayed in the zone, but I was also going to let a couple eat. So I let like 2 go. It's pretty much as hard as I could throw it just to see what I would hit on a gun. There was no gun on the scoreboard. So I kind of asked the pitcher at the end of the game. I was like, "Hey, where was I at?" And he goes, "You're sitting 86 to 88, but you hit a 91. I was like, all right, cool. Like, that's good to know in case I ever need to do that later on in my life. But so yeah, I couldn't really feel my arm the next day. I was kind of hanging when I was taking an infield outfield for sure, even just throwing 15 pitches. So I got a lot of respect for those pitchers who can go up there and throw 100 pitches and still be functional the next day.
Yeah, that's the same thing our high school coach said. Was his arm was hanging. He only pitched 1 inning. So
yeah, yeah.
Another thing, just fun minor league stuff. I mean, you hear all about it. I'm wearing Pawtucket Hot Wieners, one of the promotions the Paw Sox did. So what is either the funnest or the craziest? It doesn't have to be a team that you were a part of. Could have been a team you were facing. What's like the craziest, funniest promotion that you've been minor league promotion that you've been a part of in some way?
Last year we were the Charlotte Harbor Hippies for 3 games. That was kind of different. Everybody was showing up in their sunglasses and multicolored shirts trying to act like they didn't know what was going on. And I don't know, it's really funny because you show up to a minor league game and it's all about entertainment and all about getting fans to the park. Playing a couple Star Wars nights, Harry Potter nights, pretty cool. See all these people roll to the field. I think we were somewhere and Darth Vader threw out the first pitch a couple times, and they do a good job promoting it and making it an event for all these little kids and stuff. So it's cool. It's more than just a game. and it's fun for a lot of people.
Awesome.
So while we're on the topic of just kind of fun stuff, just kind of starting to wrap it up a little bit, have you seen the picture that's been going around with Bill Clinton and you filling the albums?
Mm-hmm.
What would be 4 albums?
Putting me on the spot like that. I gotta look through my phone real quick. I don't know. I like all genres, so it's tough to pick 1 or 4, I guess. But geez,
only hard questions here.
So I was a big Migos guy growing up, so probably Migos, one of their albums, Culture 2 or Culture 1. The first Culture would be there. Geez, I like Halsey too. Halsey had a good album. Then there's a good country album that just came out too. Trying to think. Geez, that's a tough one. I don't know if I got the answer right now. I like Khaled. I'm a big Khaled guy.
Okay.
I like my Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, nice.
There you go.
He's a good dude. I don't know, I like my worship music too to kind of get me in the right mindset. Maverick City Music's got a good couple of ones. Passion City Music's got one. I like some Drake. I don't know. It's kind of all over the map for me. I don't know if I can just pick 4.
Gotcha. That's fair. That's very fair. I was sitting on my phone for about a half hour just going through trying to decide which ones, and I still don't think I got it right. So
yeah, I mean, like it's hard too because you don't really think of albums anymore. It's just like certain songs. So that is hard. But
when you find a good album, it's really, really good. Roddy Ricch had a good album that he came out with. I don't know what kind of music you guys like, but kind of all over the map there.
Yeah, I'm all over the board too. So a lot of similar stuff to what you said, a lot of country, so all sorts of stuff. But going off of music, what's your walk-up song, or what was it last season?
So for the first part of the year, it was Lift Your Head, Weary Sinner by David Crowder. And then it changed about halfway through. I went with a Future song, Going Dummy, to kind of change it up. But I also had Travis Scott in there at some point too. Through the Late Night, that was one of them too. So I don't know. I've kind of been all over the map. I don't know what I'm going to do this year.
Yeah, going about picking that stuff. I mean, I've listened to a lot of interviews with major league guys and a lot of like funner interviews. So they talk about stuff like walk-up songs, and a lot of them say that most of them actually surprisingly want to pick a song that kind of calms them down and like soothes them. So are you a guy like that, or is it just like whatever you're feeling, whatever your favorite song is, that's what it's going to be?
Yeah, kind of whatever I'm feeling at the moment. I like to get hyped up a little bit before I get in the box. I kind of smack myself in the back with my bat, just kind of wake me up. I have a little bit of smelling salts. I'm pretty intense on the mound, not on the mound, but in the box and on the field, more so than when I'm off the field. I don't know. When I'm in the moment, I want to compete and believe no one's going to beat me in that moment. And that's kind of how I've always had to carry myself, being a smaller guy. So yeah, I'm more hype up than calm down for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a good way to be for sure. I don't get why people would want to I understand what they're saying when they're like, oh, I don't want to be too fired up and swinging out of my shoes. I got to get fired up before I step in the box.
Yeah. It's more of an internal fired up though. I mean, I'm not really going to say anything unless something's crazy. I like to just be in the zone. I'm not going to chirp you. I like to play baseball the old fashioned way, head down, play it hard, and don't say a word until after the game, But it's not really the way baseball's being played anymore, which is fine. You can play however you want as long as you get the job done.
Yeah. I like the old school. And one thing that I noticed looking at a bunch of the pictures from your BC days, everybody was rocking the stirrups, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
That was for our high school team my senior year. A bunch of the seniors got together and said, no, we're going old school. Everybody's going to be in stirrups every game. It's going to be part of the uniform. So Definitely
Yeah.
appreciate the old school stuff.
It's a good look. I carried it on after he left his senior year. So
Good. Yeah, the Coach Gambino was a big fan of those, so he was like, "We got to wear stirrups if we're going to wear our pants up, or you got to wear them down." So that was kind of a mindset. The whole team was like, "All right, we'll just wear stirrups and it ain't gonna matter." I think they're going away from it a little bit now, just because it's kind of going away. But I like the look. I think I'm a big fan.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of in line with the music and the stirrups and stuff like that, are you a superstitious guy? I know, like, for me, when I would play, I would alternate every game, or not every game, but first game of the season, socks up. If I got a hit, they'd stay up the rest of the season. If I didn't get a hit, they'd go down. If I didn't get hit that game, go back up. You have any superstitions? You know, you mentioned changing your walk-up song, stuff like that. Or do you just kind of go out there and play and not worry about it?
A little superstitious, obviously. If I'm swinging it well, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep wearing my pants down. If I need to switch up, I'll go up if I had a hit in a couple of games. But I'm not too superstitious. Do the same thing when I get in the box, just to kind of calm myself down and make sure I know where I'm at, know what I'm doing, and recenter myself. But not too much, no. Here and there, yes. I'm just like anybody would. If they get a hit, they're not going to try to change everything they did the next at bat. So just a little bit.
Fair, very fair.
Sure. So I noticed we've had you for a while now, so we'll start to, try and wrap it up maybe. So I want to hit on one thing that Matt and I noticed on your Instagram, and then I know Matt wants to do a little rapid fire questions with you about BC. So first off, looking at your Instagram, we noticed, you have a lot of human trafficking awareness, which we think is awesome. So I didn't know if you want to talk a little bit about that and say how you got into all that stuff, or, obviously it's great you're promoting the awareness for that. So just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I attend Passion City Church in Atlanta, and their big thing is the End It movement. Not too many people realize how many people are still in human trafficking today, and Atlanta is a big city for that. So I like to wear a red X on my hand just to kind of promote the awareness, just so more people that are aware of it, the less it can happen. Just because if you see something suspicious, you can kind of say something, call the police, and notify somebody what's going on. So I just do that through my church, and that's been a big thing they promoted. So I figured, why not join the movement and spread the awareness a little bit.
Awesome.
So I'm trying to pull it up right now because there was a whole list of them that BC had actually put out for like quarantine entertainment, but I'll just run some off the top of my head if you don't mind. Just all right. So you already mentioned you were Upper Not Newton. What building?
I was in Gonzaga Hall.
Gotcha. Okay, that's where my roommate now lived freshman year.
Nice,
MAs or White Horse?
MAs.
For sure. MAs or City Side?
City Side.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit new wave.
Yeah, for sure. Lower or Mac?
Lower.
Absolutely. Cheesesteak or quesadillas?
Ooh, cheesesteak.
There you go. Chicken tenders or mott sticks at late night?
Ooh, mott sticks.
There you go. Best place to tailgate at Brighton or Mod Lot?
I'm going to go on our field. It was sick when it was on our field in the outfield. That was some of the best moments I have tailgating, even though it was in our outfield and we had to pay the price in the fall, but it was a blast when it was on there.
That's sick. I completely forgot that was, that's a good part. All right, that's fair. And then Rat or Eagle's Nest?
Eagle's Nest.
Okay, and then is it Eagle's Presser or Eagle's Bowl?
Presser, I believe.
Yeah, like the panini ones that,
Yeah.
That's the right call for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Think we missed
Good
anything?
stuff.
I think we're in pretty good shape, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was an awesome interview. We all appreciate it so much, and thank you so much for taking a ton of time to do this with us. It was awesome.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. It was great to talk about old memories and fill you guys in on what's happening. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great. And we wish you the best of luck. We hope to see you in the big leagues in a couple of years, hopefully. Fingers crossed. We're rooting for you. We're rooting for you.
I appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming on, Jake.
Yeah. You guys are running a good podcast here, so keep it up, keep rolling.